Revelation 1109. From the 23rd of September 1939. Public expression of spiritual aspiration. Unbelievably high demands are made regarding worldly enjoyment or earthly goods, and every man strives to outdo the other. But in spiritual respect, people completely lack this urge. People would rather hide their spiritual striving from their fellow human beings, so that a competition to reach the state of perfection is completely out of the question. And this is characteristic for the spiritual backwardness of mankind. One is not afraid to publicly declare the inclination for earthly good, but conceals as far as possible everything that applies to the advancement of the soul. And yet, man must first overcome this shyness before the world. He must openly and courageously confess himself as a creature of God and thus as an earthly child who wants to serve Him and recognize His power and glory. And if he puts his duty to God before his earthly activity, he may also be sure of divine blessing, but the Father in heaven does not respect a creature who does not openly confess Him. And so even today only a few people have the honest endeavor to make God's will their own. They all go on their earthly way unperturbed, without asking themselves whether they also comply with the will of Him who created them, to the best of their ability. Only one thing is important to them, to increase their possessions or to protect them from diminishing. But if they would think of their souls just as eagerly and fulfill their spiritual duty with the same zeal, earthly life would no longer burden them, because the Lord God assures the fulfillment of what is necessary for life to those who love Him and keep His commandments. And a public confession would bear exceedingly beautiful fruits for the fellow human being, because one person always emulates another. How many useless things does man focus his mind on, and how necessary is the immersion in spiritual questions alone to secure his existence for all eternity. Of course, man must be able to renounce earthly goods in fullest satisfaction and be content only with what the Father in heaven has intended for him. But he willingly gives up everything when the Spirit in him teaches him and makes him understand the worthlessness of earthly things. How his mind is then turned to the spiritual, and how empty the earthly life seems to him, how sober all that he had desired before. And his zeal will become greater and greater. His shyness to confess is overcome, and he will now be able to work for his own blessing and all those to whom he transmits the same teachings, which are so obviously and wonderfully offered to him by the infinite love of the Lord. Amen.